Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. We would like to start our webinar today by mentioning that our word today is united and its grief. Our hearts and prayers are with all the victims, the injured, and those who lost their homes or loved ones in the devastating earthquake this early morning in Turkey and Syria. God be with them. Today, we would like to welcome you all to welcome our worldwide audience and this outstanding, let's say, presentation or webinar. It's our utmost pleasure to have you all here today. Tonight, we will discuss an interesting topics. We would start saying that mindsets are the beliefs filters between us and reality, where they influence what we perceive, how do we feel, and how do we behave. That's why they are extremely powerful. Let's think of the mindsets as a mental lens that impact how we see ourselves and the world around us. In the regulatory world, we perceive many things like conversations or events, and our mindsets influences our thoughts and help us to interrupt them and define our choices. More than impacting how we see, think, and feel about things, our mindsets ultimately drive our behavior. But where did these default mindsets, let's say, actually come from? Typically, they are shaped by our past experiences, where we were built through our everyday work life and the reactions we had in similar situations. As a result, we carry helpful mindsets and some not so helpful ones. Today, we will reveal more about the regulatory affairs mindset, saying that just because you are carrying all these default mindsets with you, it doesn't mean you will always have to operate with all of them. In fact, you can actually choose the mindset that's most appropriate at that time, depending on what situation is and what you want really to accomplish. How important is this? Extremely. Mindsets can empower you or to hold you back. Study after study confirms that everything from school achievements and job performance to life satisfaction, stress management, and even your physical health is driven at least in part by your mindsets. At the end of our webinar, you will be aware of the abundance of mindsets around you, yet try to choose the one or the ones that serves you best. Regulatory affairs as a profession help you to acquire the concept of a growth mindset, supported by all the skills gained from the hard work that can be improved over time. Regulators across the globe are facing increasing challenges and workloads to the globalization of key markets. Good regulatory practice ultimate aim is to serve and protect public health and patient interests with respect to all applicable ethical principles, of course, complemented by governance practices, good reliance practices, and good review practices. Quality management systems are very important as well for the regulatory authorities. And finally, science and evidence-based medicines. Decision-making is very important as well. Regulatory affairs professionals' leadership, coordination, and strategic planning are critical for setting and carrying out the organizational vision, mission, policies, and strategies. In my opinion, the key to succeeding as a regulator is being aware of your mindsets so you can make more deliberate choices. Okay, so in tonight's webinar, we will explore the skills needed for a regulatory affairs professional, what's actually the good regulatory practice, and some important take-home messages. Stay focused to answer all our challenges or challenging questions. We are going to test the level of your mindset adaptability. Kindly use the Q&A section to direct our questions to our speaker and enjoy the event. Before we start, I would like to give a brief introduction about our esteemed speaker, Dr. Hakima Hossein. She's a well-known industry expert as well. You probably know her very well, but it's good to mention brief about her for those who might meet her for the first time. Dr. Hakima Hossein holds a bachelor degree in pharmacy from the University of Jordan and a Regulatory Affairs Global Certificate, RAC from the USA. Now she's the Regulatory Affairs Associate Director, Regulatory Affairs Due Diligence, and she's a consultant for regulatory affairs activities at Hikma Pharmaceuticals. She has around 12 years of experience at Hikma. And the 20 years of experience at JFDA, where she was the head of registration department there. She is the active regulatory RAC member as a consultant for MENA regulations, and she is the author of a chapter of Chapter 5 from the post-approval changes guidelines in MENA with the RAPS network, which was published in 2022. Last year. So welcome, Dr. Hakima. It's our pleasure to have you with us tonight. And we're very pleased and excited to hear about this outstanding topic. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Really, you make ease the way to introduce my presentation. Thank you very much, and thank you for the organizers. Really, it's nice to meet you again. This is my second time. It's my pleasure to be with you again. Thank you very much. Without any cause of delay, we will start our presentation in order to save time, and I wish everybody to be safe and really have a nice time. Thank you again. Our presentation is about good regulatory practice. Really, let me see how to move. Sorry. First of all, this presentation really represents my work, my ideas, and not Hikma's ideas. So this is the first. Then you will learn about regulatory environment in MENA, regulatory affairs, role of regulatory affairs professional, skills needed for regulatory affairs professional, what is a good regulatory practice, the core principles of good regulatory principles, and some messages to take to home. Sorry. What is the regulatory environment? Once we are talking about a regulatory environment, then first of all, really, I would like to have you a type of questions to be an interactive webinar. Would like really to have such a type of discussion with you. So please, anybody, you can raise your hand, and our organizer will be happy to open the mic for you to speak. So please feel free to stop me at any time and ask. Once we are talking about a regulatory environment,
I just want to announce that if anyone raised his hand, I will open the mic for him, because all attendees are muted for now. Okay, just raise your hand so I can open the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, Bayan. So a regulatory environment, it is what is around us of regulations, laws, and that put in place by the governmental authorities that really entitles civilian organization to control the behavior and action of business activity. And really here what we are talking about, our business, our pharmaceutical activities in industry, in importation, exportation, and all activities that are related to medicines. Each country in MENA has well-defined regulatory authority. Some of them are quite developed, like Saudi FDA and JFDA, and others are really still as relocated with Ministry of Health, but they are coming more and more organized, more and more developed. So the changes in our regulatory environment really are massive. Every day there is a change. Every day there is an update. So in order to cope to this, the business of regulatory affairs have developed. And this really regulatory affairs job, although it is a little bit new, but it really have a very, very big role in capturing all the changes in this regulatory environment. So regulatory affairs, if you want to define it, it is a unique mix of science and management to make drugs available using right first time approach. This is really very critical, and here we are talking about science and management. It's not a simple way that you have just to deal with science alone or management alone. It is a mixture, and our aim, all our regulatory affairs all over the world, is right first time, first cycle approval. This is really the objective, the maximum objective for everyone in regulatory affairs. RA is a specialist in regulations and guidelines to be able to protect public health by controlling the safety and efficacy of products. In areas included, of course, we're talking here about many areas: pharmaceuticals, veterinary, medical devices, pesticide, cosmetics, all complementary medicines. All of these are regulated and are controlled by regulatory affairs. So there is a huge place to work, a huge knowledge, and a huge science behind. In addition to huge regulations and guidelines that covers all of these. RA translate back this scientific information and data generating to convince health authority that the drug product is safe and effective when it's used in its stated indication. And here behind is the science behind, because all these data is generated through studies, regarding quality, safety, and efficacy studies in order to have such medications. So role of regulatory affairs, it changes, and it has different roles if we are talking about the health authority by itself, where there is a regulatory affairs, where in industry, where it's also regulatory affairs department is very critical and the core of the industry. In the drugstore, also it is the core of the drugstore, because the three sites really represent most of regulatory affairs work in this industry. If we want to talk about the health authorities, how the job, what is the regulatory affairs and health authority is doing? First of all, ensuring all necessary regulations and guidelines are put in place, and not just put in place, and updating them in a way that, sorry, I think that I can close this, and updating them to make that they are always matching the highest level of regulation and the international guidelines. So they are proper controlling and monitoring of pharmaceutical products, herbal, medical devices, cosmetic and cosmeceuticals in markets. Licensing of marketing authorization holder, even the manufacturer, the importer, the MH holder, the exporter should be licensed and have been inspected for example, for the manufacturing site, have been inspected for the good conditions, distribution condition, and all this stuff in order to be licensed. Assessing safety, efficacy, or quality of the pharmaceutical products, you know, through I don't know the background of all participants, but I'm sure they had know about the modules and CTD modules of our dossiers, where we can put the science and the studies that is related to safety, efficacy, and quality, and issuing marketing authorization for each individual product. Inspecting and surveillance of manufacturer, importer, wholesalers, and dispenser of pharmaceutical products. ensuring that activities and premises must comply with good manufacturing practice, good distribution practice requirement, and all good practice in all areas. Controlling promotion, advertising, our pharmaceutical follow-up, pharmacovigilance, post-marketing activities of all the products. Defining the selling and the selling and the pricing of oil product on private markets. This is very important role, especially in MENA. While this is different from, for example, globally in US or other markets where the price are not controlled. While if we are talking about the RA in responsibility in industry, although he is an RA, but has different role, because he is the outlet of the company to regulatory bodies. So anything that have been, any studies have been controlled, the dossiers, whatever have been done in the industry will be translated and in dossiers to be submitted to regulatory bodies as interface between companies and regulatory bodies, and vice versa, of course. If there is any new guidelines, any whatever have been done, should be communicated for the industry by regulatory affairs. Interpretation of regulations to companies and a tracker of the ever-changing legislation in all regions in which the company wishes to distribute its product. So regulatory affairs, once we are talking in industry, it's not usually targeted more than one market. So they are not just targeted, for example, if it is existing in Jordan, it will not be targeting just Jordan. It will targeting, for example, all MENA countries or Europe or USA. So this regulation and interpretation of this regulation is the responsibility of our regulatory affairs personnel in order to be able to submit these dossiers all over the targeted markets. Influencer of new regulation. This is very important role because he is the one who feels and deals with all these regulation. So any update, any gaps, any way of development and improvement of these regulation it's a regulatory affairs responsibility. Once he got and catch up this gap, he should draft or review the regulation or come in contact with regulatory parties to discuss with them any new regulation and how he can help to improve such guidelines. If, of course, they had, and usually we consider the regulatory affairs in industry and regulatory affairs in regulatory bodies and everywhere as have a type of partnership relationship. It is a partnership in order to have the same, because our objective is the same, to have a good medicine at the right time for the right patient. So all of us are working on in the same field in the same objectives, so we need to have to be aligned, and our partnership to be a good partnership in order to gain such improvement and to have a very good quality of products in our markets. Key player in product development and maintenance process. So once the company started to think about any product, RA should be involved from early stages in development. What is this product? What the behavior of this product? How should I do? Should I go for bioequivalence, for example, if it's generic, or can I biowaive it? Or how should I be to handle? What is the formula? How can I really interact and have and make sure that this product is registered in a fast way? To produce robust application that will be successful under regulatory review. This is very important because the aim of any dossier or any developer of the dossier, the RA person, is to have one application for all markets. And this cannot be done unless if there is a good review of the regulations in all the markets in order to gain such a robust application. strong life cycle management strategy to ensure the successful and lasting commercialization of the product. Why? Because we don't want to have a short life cycle of the product. So if we have a strong life cycle of the product, then that means more revenue and more availability of the product in the market. Regulatory affairs responsibility in drugstores. There is a place where this is very the core of any drugstore. Why? Because this regulatory affairs should understand the regulatory environment in the country, because they are dealing with different countries and they have to understand this regulatory environment in that country. Responsible to be a licensed person between drugstore company and the authority. So there is a licensor outside the country who usually maybe he doesn't understand well the regulations. Maybe there is a gap in understanding, language barrier, whatever. So he is the liaison person between this company outside the country and the authority, and of course his workplace. Help in establishing regulatory strategies. Also, we need some product, of course, the importation of products in our area, really, we have a huge importation, and it's about, maybe in some markets, 80% imported and 30 in others, we have the vice versa of importation versus local manufacturing. Nevertheless, but we need to improve our regulatory strategy in order to have these products available at the right time. Can assess regulatory impact and risk of any new guidelines, maybe through his contacts, through his relationship, through international guidelines. It can assess the impact of any new guideline. Understand science behind each received document. She should be well experienced, and should be an expert in science behind each document. Note here, the drugstore does not develop the requirement, the document, because these documents are developed from external company, but RA have to understand the science behind each document, because he want to translate this science to the authority and to get approval. Now, if we are talking about, this is the role in general. If there is any question, I can help. If there is no, I can continue. Okay, so skills needed.
Just if you can raise your voice, they are commenting. If you can raise your voice a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
If anyone has any question, just please raise your hand so I can unmute, so you can talk directly. Okay, someone raised this hand. Rezan, you can unmute yourself and talk.
السلام عليكم. يعطيكم العافية جميعا. دكتورة حاكمة، ممكن تنتقلي على أول سلايد فتحتيها؟
أول سلايد يعني one or this one?
No, the one before. Yes, this one. Okay. I want to well understand, what do you mean by civilian organizations?
Yeah. Civilian organization is a different, once you are talking about civilian organization who are related to the industry, for example, hospitals, pharmacists, pharmaceuticals, all of these are civilian organizations that are related to the government. And because not all, for example, hospitals, not all governmental, some of them are private section. Yeah.
Yes.
This is what I meant. Yeah.
Okay. Clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No one. Thank you, Dr. Hakima.
Okay, great. Now, as Bayan have mentioned, really we need skills for this regulatory affairs professional. Not every person can be good regulatory affairs or really doing his job in a brilliant way, because we need this regulatory affairs is an expert, science holder person, management, and all these skills are needed to have such a profession. So he should be a quick learner, because changes are really, we have massive changes in all regulations, continuous improvement in processes, procedure, and guidelines. We shouldn't stop in a way. Of course, if I, for example, submit the dossier, if you remember, I don't know how much all of you, we used to submit the dossier in files away from CTD dossier, and then we jump to CTD. After that, electronic CTD. Now we are in CTE, electronic CTD era. Now also things are changing, and really updated, and improvement is going very fast in such processes and procedure. So he should really meet all this upgrading, improvement in very fast way. Time management skills. Huge work on regulatory affairs. I understand how much we are overwhelmed. We have many tasks. We have many products to submit. We need to meet all the market's needs, or the improvement, all the post-approval changes, and all the new submissions, and and maintenance of our product. So time management skills is very critical. Otherwise, we will fail. Reading and writing skills. You should be in the documents, or the declaration letters, or what's needed to express yourself, to justify your case, to answer DL deficiency letters received, to make, for example, declaration letter about the status or justification. We have to have a good writing skills in Arabic, in English, in any way, to meet the requirement in the area. Analytical skills. Never ever take for example, a deficiency letter or stability studies or HADA as is. You need to analyze it, to understand it, to understand what's behind it. Why have this because what are the regulations that cover such, for example, DL, in order to be able to answer it. Management and the planning skill. This is very, very important to plan, to be a good planner, to have management skills. Interpersonal skills. You have to always develop your interperson, your mindset, the changing, to meet what is going, the updates, to meet what is around us of changes, procedures, new guidelines, whatever. This is, you need to understand it, and to be clever and really aware of all what's going on. Now I have a question. It's a challenging question for all of you, and I hope you will answer it. I think Bayan.
Yes, doctor, I will launch the first challenge question. Can you see it? Please write me in the Q&A if you can see the challenge question.
For me, yes, it's clear.
Yes, answer the question, answer the challenge.
How much time shall
I can end it when you
let's say 1 minute, or
okay. Should we count to 3? Okay, yellow 1. We will close the poll after 3. 1, 2, 3. Yellow and poll. Let's see the answers. I will share the results. Can you see the results?
No.
No? Why?
That's the question.
Okay. Okay, most of the people answered all the above.
True. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I don't know what's. So
No,
I will show now. Is it shown?
no.
What happened? I don't know. Okay, all answered all the above. What's
Okay.
the
It's true. This is the answer, the true, because streamlining the work is very important during the hinted. So you need to eliminate any steps that have no added value for the work. To reduce reworking, because reworking is really taking more time. To fix before process and successfully can be successfully completed. Wherever you can fix something, do it before. So the answer is all of the above. Thank you very much. Great.
They are clever.
MashaAllah. Yeah. Now, what is the successful submission keys? There are keys to have a successful submission. First of all, as we mentioned before, good planning and implementation. For approval time based on existing registration routes. For example, I need to have priority. For example, if I have 3 products, what are the products? How can to manage them? I need to give priority for them, and then go for establishing the route of registration. Maybe one of them is biological, maybe the other one is a generic product, maybe the other is a herbal product. So I know how to go through the registration route. I know the herbal product will take, for example, maybe 2 months or 3 months for approval, while if I'm talking about a biological products, maybe it will take more. So I need to first of all to plan my submission, registration submission and registration strategy according to that. Dossier requirement, maybe I need more requirement. I'm not available. Maybe the stability I have just 3 months, so it's not accepted. Maybe I have just maybe the batches are pilot, not production batches. So I mean, the requirement in that country require production batches, so I can't go there. So my plan will be after I finished, for example, and establish stability for the production batches. So I need to understand the requirement in order in each country in order to understand what to do and how to plan. Registration route of certain products, for example, under licensed product is for example, in some countries, under licensed product is a little bit not that much encouraged. They like to localize their products. So how to go there? Is it possible to go for under license or to be in-house product, or what is our strategy? How I should go there? So these will give me the plan of my registration submission plan. Dossier, the maximum international local requirements. Don't make it low. For example, if they requested 6 months data, always put your target is to have 12 months in order to meet more than one market. For example, if we know that Jordan maybe accepted 12 months, and while Saudi or other Bahrain or, for example, Europe accept 3 months data or 6 month data. So I should meet the maximum in order to have a dossier, as we mentioned, robust dossier to meet all as much as we can of countries. It's impossible to meet the requirements in all countries. We have to do our best to do that. In order to, for example, to submit as a wave 1 countries in many countries as much as we can, and then after approval we go for the other markets. Close monitoring of any updated guidelines. For example, we have, we have a new guidelines have been introduced. Saudi FDA have issued new guidelines in November 2022. In these guidelines, they introduce conditional and tentative approval. This is regarding if we have if the unmet need and the product is very important to the market. So Saudi will accept such a product and give it under conditional approval. This is an area where we can meet, our product can meet, for example, such a criteria. If our product meets this criteria, then we'll have to go there. Will be this update is really critical for us and important for us, for example. Or for example, now we have a new guidelines for Algeria to submit a bioequivalence study, for example, and my dossier is still not meeting this. So I need to stop there. I can't go there if I was planning to submit it within this time after this change. So my plans should be in a way have very elasticity in order to be manageable and to manage it according to the guidelines. A cross-functional good communication between departments. In industry, we have many departments: QC, AR, R&D, and clinical team, whatever. If we don't have a good communication and we are all aligned with the same requirement, the same guidelines, RA, he should be really the liaison person who will connect between all of them and controlling all these communication in order to get to the targets that we need. Build up your capacities. Always build up your capacity. Read and read. For me, I've been working for 23 years in regulatory. I'm still reading the guidelines, even the old one and the new one. If for each submission, I go and read the guidelines again. But this is what I'm working. This is my life. Read and read and read, because I need to build my capacities, to learn more, and to be always ready for any change, and to really capture any changes in the guidelines. These really, these keys, just some of them, of course, there are many, but these are the main one that I've gathered through my my experience in for submission. Sorry.
Dr. Hakima, before we move to the next slide, someone is asking about the conditional approval. If you can just give a small example that clarify what's the conditional approval.
Okay, great. Thank you. As you know, in US FDA, they have such a conditional and tentative approval. The conditional approval is given, and we have the case, of course, everybody knows, the COVID-19 vaccines. They were given such a conditional approval. This approval depends on early results of clinical studies, and sometimes we don't reach to the phase 3 studies. Sometimes it's in early stages of phase 3 studies, but in all the areas, phase 3 studies are not finished yet. So if for example, US FDA and now Saudi FDA have the same, if they capture that there are the positive result toward unmet need, of course, not for all drugs. This is for special areas where a niche market where we have unmet need, where we have patients that are waiting for such drugs. So we go there and they give a conditional approval. After finishing phase 3 studies and proof of these positive results of the studies, we'll go for the final approval of the products. Is it clear now?
For me, it's clear. I don't know if the one who asked the question, if you can please tell us if it's clear. Okay, we will, if it's not clear, we will keep it to the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. What do you think?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Doctor, just adjust your camera because we can't see you.
Really?
Good.
You can't see me at all?
إذا فيك.
I don't know. Shall I minimize the...
No, بس صورتك زي كأنها نزلت لتحت شوي، بس إذا فيكي هيك تعدليها.
No, ما فيش كاميرا بالمرة.
هيك راحت we lost you. Your
yeah, heck, like this, okay?
Yes,
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
We got an answer. Thank you. The example was very clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great. Secrets of success. Still, there is secrets behind any success. Each submission is a unique experience. Never ever I have through my experience that two submissions are the same. Each submission really have its a unique experience, and you learn from such experience a lot. So keep it in mind and learn from this unique experience. Be a good writer, as we mentioned. Be alert, accurate, precise. Really, I have highlighted these because we have really many. Sometimes really we face lots of during my work at GFDA. The inaccuracy, sometimes I have a file for two dosage form in the same dossier. Certificate of analysis, for example, for tablet, while the product is injectable. I've faced that during my experience while assessing the dossier. So please, please, please be accurate as much as you can, precise and smart while dealing with the document. Read, listen, and discuss. Please read, listen, and discuss. Every word and every decision should be discussed thoroughly. We should really understand why and how and the impact of this decision. The impact of this is, for example, if I want to stop, for example, submission, maybe the impact is very bad only. And if I proceed with submission, also we have a very bad impact. So we need to understand the impact of any decision before. Or don't be afraid to discuss, for example, with marketing decisions. Sometimes marketing people say, proceed with this submission. No, I will not proceed with this submission because I have 1, 2, 3 regulations that really tighten my submission. So discuss in a way that to understand the impact. I think we need to minimize this. Yeah. Enjoy the challenge and find solution. Each submission has its unique challenge. It's not just an experience challenge. Challenges in our regulatory framework. This is the fun, the beauty of regulatory affairs. It's always challenges. I love it. Really, I love it. My work, I love my work. I love the challenges that I'm facing. Every day I have a new challenge, and this challenge needs solution. And I have to think in a way to find solution. This might be through guidelines. This might be old experience. This might be through finding, for example, international guidelines that might help me in solving my local guidelines, for example, if I have to find a solution. So think in the challenge as something that is really give me more experience and always find solutions. Exchange experience and learn from others. This is very important. For example, you have working in, for example, in GCC market, while your friend is working in Jordanian market or in Saudi. Always have exchange this experience because you will learn a lot of that. Good archiving. Archiving in regulatory affairs is really the soul, the most important thing in order not to miss a document. It's very good. Good archiving is really the spirit and the utmost needed documentation in regulatory affairs. As you know, regulatory affairs dealing with documents. These documents have revision date, have version date, maybe old versions, new versions. So good archiving can easily give you an access for the right version, right submission, and give it at the right time. Develop your skills all the time. Work on yourself. For example, if I have something that I can't, for example, something I'm not good in Excel sheet, for example, do it, go ahead. I don't have a very good analytical thinking. Go take courses and improve your skill. Oh, sorry. A good regulatory practice core principles, there are really grouped in a way that we have, these are core principles: knowledge, planning, I will talk about them each one in a way: strategic thinking, implementing, good documentation, practice, reviewing, and good communication skills. Maybe you have go through them, much of them, but still I want to go in more details. When we are talking about knowledge, what do we mean by knowledge? Strive to stay current with guidance update. As I mentioned, read every day to read the guidelines. Even if you are aware, be all of these guidelines, keep reading them, because you will catch something in you in each time you read it. And believe me, this is what's happening. I used to be to draft some guidelines at the authority, and really I'm proud that I have such participation in drafting some guidelines with my colleagues at the JFDA. But still, once I read them again, I still find something new in them. So read them as much as you can, available of domestic and international guidelines, and also understand the international guidelines. And understanding international, you very, what do I say? Very in-depth understanding of your domestic guidelines. Meticulous preparation of each regulatory interaction and understanding the details in documents. Don't just put the certificate of analysis or the specification just in the dossier. Is this specification shelf life or release? Is there a difference between what is the version of this? Is this a new version or old version? Is this intended for this market or not? Do we have all the information listed in this? So go into details of each document in order to make sure and understand it, in order to be the expert of your dossier. It's critical to watch regulatory environment. As we mentioned, it is very changeable, especially in MENA. We have everyday new guidelines. So please watch it thoroughly. We change the strategy accordingly. As we mentioned, we gave some examples. Sometimes you need to change. Let me say, if you were aiming to be the first generic in the area, and once you get into the guidelines or the website of the authority, you find that there are two, or there is one have been before. You might stop this submission. So you need to revise your strategy as needed. Compare domestic guidelines with international as to find a space of challenge. I mentioned that sometimes your solution and the challenge for this challenge is through international guidelines. And do it, and you'll find many solutions. Believe me. Follow draft regulations, comment and follow up. Published final regulation. If there is a draft regulations, comment, follow up them, understand them, go for the publish and read them, and have your own exercise summarizing all of this. Prepare a draft regulation that meet companies' business objectives and meet international guidelines. If there is a room for any improvement, do it. Make your best to draft any new guidelines. Be a part of the policy, making policies in your country. Improve it. Be something, sometimes we face many problems in many countries where, unfortunately, for example, the guidelines are old, or sometimes the guidelines are not published, or not, because there is no challenging from the regulatory person in that country, because people of the country who can change, and they can challenge their authorities and be influencer in every day you should be an influencer and make improvement in your country. The benefit is for your all. It's for my country and for all people there. Planning. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Really, you are planning to fail. If you don't go, you have an annual plan, or a quarterly plan, or monthly plan, and daily plan. You see, you have to go from annual to quarter to monthly to daily in order to meet your targets. Define major obstacles. For example, while I'm doing my annual plan, I may say we have, for example, if for example, there is a patent or data exclusivity for a product, then this cannot be done because after search, we have find that there is a data exclusivity. So we wait for 5 years, for whatever, 3 years, 2 years of the remaining of it. So but this is an obstacle in your plan in order to understand where it is, of course, depending on territory. Always go for the regulation of each territory and put these obstacles accordingly. As we mentioned, maybe they need an production batches, so I can't go there. I need to submit, I have only the pilot batches, so this cannot be done. Have a mechanism to coordinate with another stakeholder, either regulatory or another department. Always have a coordination and plan to coordinate with them. Implementing. How to implement these guidelines, how to make this happen, how they make the dossier robust and acceptable and to be approved from the first time. This is our target. Prepare efficient and effective way for implementing guidelines. Understand them in order to implement them. Efficient use of resources. For example, I have minimum resources or I have extra resources. Make the best of these resources in order to meet the guideline and implement your plan. Align limited resources with company's activities. For example, I have 2 personnel and I can't submit, for example, 10 dossiers or 20 dossiers in a year. So I need to give priority and to either if I have limited resources in order to meet my targets. Strategic thinking. This is really key in regulatory. Define key regulatory component and proactively defines the challenges as well as alternative approaches. For example, if I can't go as under licensed product for a country that have very constraints about the contract manufacturing. So what should I do? I should have, for example, alternative in-house. How can I get the API and counter? Is my site capable of doing such manufacturing? Is the manufacturing process can be done at my already manufacturing lines, or I need to introduce a new line? Can I get a good capex for such manufacturing? All this I should have always alternative approaches. Maybe I can cooperate with toll manufacturing with another company in the same country. This is an alternative solution. So think strategic thinking and find solution. Align regulatory strategy with business strategy. This should be aligned, because unless otherwise you have a regulatory which is different than the business, and this make marketing and revenue and all earns will be struggled. Exercise regulatory intelligence of each interaction. Go and search. Nowadays, we have a Google. Google really have source of information that can give us, is this the first product? Is this a second product? What type of the product? What are the, is this another therapeutic in this product? Is this a normal one? What are the requirements for bioequivalence? What are the FDA? What are the European? How can I meet them? Is this company have, for example, 483 warning letter? Is there any conditions about this company or this licensor or this product or any warning? If there is any side effects that have been had, any recalls, any information about the safety of this product, about the packaging, there's anything that is needed for its packaging, packaging storage condition, all this make your intelligence and understand your product as much as you can. Be part of market assessment of competitors and similar interactions. This will help you to assess and to market your product in a very good way. Good communication skills. Never use an emails, me, I, my, and whatever. Always make a group. We are talking about teamwork. Teamworking is very important in our work because the GRP affairs will not succeed unless they are working in teams. Simplicity and clarity in messages. As much as you can, be clear. Right? If you can't write it in English, write it in Arabic. If you can't write it in Arabic, write it in a way that it should be clear. Don't, as much as you can, you be clear. This is much better for you. Check before sending spelling and grammar. Really, this spelling and grammar sometimes make the reader get nervous or something like this in order while he is reading with spelling mistakes. Understanding people, write kind and positive wording all the time. Be kind for others. Good listener. Tend to understand others and be good listener. I'm always saying that فَجَعَلْنَاهُ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to listen more than to see and to talk. So be a good listener. Be informative. Share information that you have. The power of really sharing information is much, much more than the power of keeping the information for yourself. Be informative. Share your knowledge. Learn others, teach others learn from others, teach others, and be always informative. Reviewing process. This is a very critical. Review once and twice and double and start trans. Reviewing is really the key of successful submission. Review, assess, and evaluate site product theory before submission. As I mentioned, it shouldn't be from one person. I believe double check is the key of a successful submission. For a product, type of product, business model, applicable guidelines, maybe while we are preparing the dossier, things are changing. For example, a new warning letter on nitrosamine analysis alerts and letters and something regarding, for example, used in pediatrics or something like that. Always review what is going on, what's new in my product. Regarding the site, always check your site, address, line, all the same, GMP with the site, with the address, with the site master file, with the manufacturer license, with the CPP. Compare them, always review all of them together in order to have such, for example, there's maybe a change in the site, maybe minor change in the address due to regulatory or something have been done at the country of origin. Please check again and again and keep reviewing. Administrative documents, summary of product characteristics, what's the update? What is your version? Are they all together complying with other Are they, for example, certificate of analysis with the specification, with all of things, efficacy, safety issues? Are there in place on the right order in the CTD ordering? Is there any regional, extra-regional requirement for in a country? Keep your dossier updated according to the latest guidelines. The validity. Many times we get, oh, shocked that it have been expired, the GMP, while we are preparing the product, the dossier. So we need to check again the validity, legalization, if it's proper or not, quality agreement, if they are talking about contract manufacturing, relationship with parties. Are we aware of all relationship, and it's clear, and we understand the relationship between, for example, in contract manufacturing? This is very critical in order not to have deficiency letters in your dossier. Good documentation in practice. How much? Yeah, okay. Make sure information or regulation publicly available in a database or other centrally accessible to all team members. Always documentation should be accessible for everybody, and they having the right access at the right time and the right versions. For example, if there is an update, we should archive the old one and keep the new version accessible for others, in order not to have such mixing up between old version and the new version. Consider providing guidance on compliance. What is the compliance? What should we do? How should we comply with our compliance rules? Circulate new guidelines. If you have a new guideline, circulate it, and circulate the impact. Study what is the impact of the new guidelines. How many products will be impacted by this new guidelines? Can we go with our strategy? Do we need to review our strategy? Fully policies and procedures that is conducted and approved in your company. Abide them by law, by each step, in order to have the right, the good regulatory working and good professionally in a professional way. Archive all documents. As I mentioned before, archiving is very critical in regulatory affairs, and sometimes missing archiving, for example, of a new specs, that makes the second wave submission might be failure, because we have missed, for example, missing archiving the artwork, the updated artwork, and for example, the supply or the have dealing with the old one. What a mess. We are shipping your product with, for example, the old artwork, although it's not anymore approved in that country. What's the problem? How much I should do? So please make sure to archive all documents, either paper or electronically, in a way to have access for all. Interpersonal skills, as I mentioned, this is very important, and you have to build it up if you don't have it. And if you have it, make it more and more. Please work on yourself. Responsibility, accuracy, decision-making on facts, communication skills, negotiation skills. You should be able to negotiate, to discuss your case, to have a strong justification. Problem solving. Always we have challenges in our regulatory work, as I mentioned. We should be able to have such problem solving skills. Flexibility, be adaptable, flexible, change, accept change. Creative and innovative. Once you can innovate new solutions, giving new solutions, please do. Be innovative. This is what we are looking for from a regulatory affairs who is aware with all these guidelines. Persistence and patience. Cooperative with a team worker, please. This is, as I mentioned, the success of regulatory affairs is by team working together. Finally, these are take-home messages. Consider regulatory from the beginning. Regulatory affairs should be involved in any development of any product, from early stage, from choosing the API supplier who has CAP or who have a monograph or who doesn't have, from choosing the site, the manufacturing, if choosing the BE study, what to do, where can we biowave it? We can't. We want to go to bioequivalence or clinical studies. Is it a hormonal or it's not a hormone? Whatever is the product, had to be involved from the beginning in order to minimize burdens and problems. Think globally. As much as you can think, if you are looking, for example, looking for Jordanian guidelines, and you can meet them. Once you want to get outside Jordan and to widen your market, you'll face many problems. So think globally in order to meet the international guidelines, in order to have your dossier can be submittable everywhere. Understanding the regulation with good interpretation to minimize deficiencies and any rejections. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you are in a place, build on that. Don't reinvent the wheel in order to make use of your resources, available data, and all this stuff. Don't just copy others. Know your options. What do you need? What do you want to know? How you want to proceed? How you want what type of innovations you can make, and you can make yourself doing best of yourself in your work. Communicate early and often with authorities. Alhamdulillah, all our authorities have room for scientific advice. Go and connect with them and ask them in order to put your strategy in very scientific way. Don't be a regulatory police. Tell company that you can do with the ability of a challenge. We can do that. There is a risk. There is a challenge. If they accept that risk and challenge, do it. Don't be a police that hold things to do. This is my end of the presentation. I hope I have managed to get some of my experience and my daily work experience to you. I have some challenging questions for you now. We will open the room with Bayan, inshallah.
Yes. We will now start with challenge question number 2. I love the interactions that you have made. Someone were sending hearts and waves. Thank you. And they were raising the thumbs up. So they couldn't talk, but they could react with the presentation probably. So we are so happy that you like the points that were mentioned. And we always say that regulatory in practice, it's completely different on what's maybe presented or talked about, because the experience itself, it's challenging and it's really fun. Now we will go to the question number 2, and it's ready. I will launch it now. We will check.
Yeah. 1 minute, yeah?
Yeah. We will help them reading the question. You receive, as a regulatory affairs, for example, a request from the marketing team to approve the off-label use of a new product. What will be your first advice to your marketing team? You will continue the marketing the product of the off-label use. You will check to continue marketing the product of the off-label use as it will not be noticed, or you will check if there is any data supporting the off-label indication to be approved by authority, or to withdraw the product from the market. What's your answer?
Bayan, there is a note: host and panelist cannot vote. I don't know what's this note down.
Host and panelist, they are mentioning us.
دكتورة يعني أنت وبيان you cannot vote.
I will not. Okay.
We will not tell you the answer.
No, we will not.
Okay. But we have a clever audience, so we're ending the poll and till we can count to 3. 1, 2, quickly.
3. Okay, let's end the poll. So the majority has answered 2 to check if there is any data supporting the off-label indication to be approved by the authority.
Great.
So, well,
Great.
great job.
Great job.
Yeah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Yes, we have a clever audience.
Yeah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Let's see the other question. We love the interaction. Bravo.
MashaAllah.
Okay, question number 3.
Okay, I'll read it. Yeah. What is the role of RA once a new guidance is issued? Read and save. Read, distribute and save. Read, compare with old. Impact analysis, distribute and save. Read and ignore if not related. How much a percentage of participation?
You mean how many participants for tonight?
No, in answering.
In answering, 100% are answering number 3.
Great, mashallah. Okay, great. Either I'm a good teacher or they are a very clever.
You are a good presenter. So 70% of the audience has participated in the poll, which is good indication or good sign.
Very nice.
They are aware of of every single word. So we're going to end the poll after counting till 3. 1, 2. If you haven't submit your answers, please do. 3. Okay. There's 2% who had answered 1. The answer number 1 and answer number 2, and the majority had answered number 3. Good job.
Good job. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
We have another one, I think.
Yeah.
The last challenge question.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, or me to read it.
Do you want to read it, Doctor?
No, never mind.
Okay.
A request was received from a regulatory authority asking to conduct product testing from regulatory authority, asking you to conduct product testing in compliance with the newly issued regulations. What should be done? What action should the company take first? Initiate testing immediately as per the guidance to ensure compliance. Consult with the QC department about the request. Contact the regulatory authority that issued the request and discuss the requirement. Send a letter back to the authority to ask why.
Okay, we have different answers here. So we will wait till we see. Okay. They're confused now. What's the correct answer?
By the way, this is one of the RAC exams that I have submitted
Okay.
past.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why.
It's very difficult, yeah.
But they have an outstanding community. They encourage you to think, and there's a nice climate where you meet different people from all around the globe. So it's very nice to interact with them.
Yeah, I'm doing that. Even I'm a consultant for the MENA region with them.
Amazing.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
So we will be closing the poll after counting till 3. So if you haven't submit your answer, think quickly. Okay, 1,
Yeah.
2, okay, 3, and 12. So we have 16% who answered number 1, and the majority answered for number 3, which is contact the regulatory authority that issued the request and discuss the requirement.
Okay,
Well, the least percentage were for option number 4, but they were thinking about 1 or 2 or 3, so the answers are very near. We have near percentage in these for these choices. So maybe we can think about it together.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. This is really very challenging question, and all the answers might have some right in them in order to follow. But first of all, we are talking about what action should the company take first. So we have to make the first decision. What is the first decision, not the later? So maybe some actions should be done in parallel. Maybe we have, but at least first of all, we should go to the authority and ask that issued the request and discuss the requirement. Why? Because we are talking about a new guidelines. Usually the new guidelines might not be implemented on the same time, yeah? Although the authority asked for that, but we can't challenge with them because our product have been, for example, analyzed since 6 months. So these are a new regulation. Why to follow? I can commit it myself to follow up later because any new test, what do it will need? It will need validation or verification if it is compendial. I need to make sure this will take time. So this will delay my submission or approval. Or, for example, even launching in the market. So first of all, I will go and ask them why and challenge them to accept my analysis for the time being. Second, or in parallel, sometimes I will go to consult of my QC department. What about this request? What do you think? Do we have a validation for this method? Can we implement it? How much this will impact other markets? For example, if this have been requested by Saudi, can I change my specification on my analysis to Jordan? Or how can I come? Who's should? How will I submit this is change? There is a change control here. I need to submit a post-approval change for my product. So this needs times. Maybe this will delay launching. So I can't go and really initiate the test immediately because I can't comply with such a regulation. So here is your challenge. You need to challenge. You need to understand the situation, to submit that your method is valid, is working, and it has been submitted for many countries and approved. So I can't delay such launching of my product. This might delay availability of the products to the patient. So I can't implement it at the same time. So you'll go for the authority, issue the request and discuss with the requirement. In parallel, you can go, or after that, once you understand the request, you go for the QC, put a plan how you will implement it and the impact of such change on specification, on analysis, and of course, then you can implement this test. Okay?
Okay.
يعطيك العافية دكتور حاكمة. ممكن أحكي لكم أنت بقى على هذا السؤال؟
Yes, please.
كيفك دكتورة؟ معك علاء اشتراط، كيف حالك؟
أهلا دكتور، كيفك؟ شو أخبارك؟
الله يسعدك دكتورة، تسلمي. دكتورة
راح صوتك علاء. بيان.
We lost his voice. Dr. Ala, can you hear us? Okay, maybe if someone would like to comment on this question till we get Dr. Ala back.
I actually have a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi.
Welcome,
First of all,
Hadil.
thank you. My name is Hadil Saidi. Thank you, Doctor, for a really great presentation. I just have a quick comment regarding this question. My answer was to first consult with QC department. And I really agree about when you mentioned that it should be in parallel with the contacting the regulatory authority. However, from experience, it is not easy always when it comes, every country and every authority is different in terms of how they collaborate with distributors or manufacturers. I realized that when we go to the regulatory authority and get this chance to open this discussion, especially in a scientific point of view, it's always better to know the questions that we're going to ask before we go to the authority to know more about the requirement. What I mean is, if I receive a new guideline, what I usually do is I consult the QC department first, because I'd like to see what are the questions that this guideline triggered with our QC department. And then I take those questions plus my understanding of the guideline, and I refer this to the authority to get my point across from the first time, instead of a communication of going back and forth, trying to convince them of what the QC has would like to add or so on.
Thank you, Hadil. Really, I appreciate. Yes, here you joined the knowledge in addition to the action and yes. If you don't, I don't have enough knowledge about this test, about what they might ask me, or why they requested. 100%. You need to collect all the information. Don't go to the authority with empty hand. 100%, I totally agree with you. I'm always mentioning that the regulatory affairs is the expert is an expert in everything. Once I have something, I need to understand it, to study it, why and how, and to collect information, as we mentioned, then I'll go and discuss, 100%.
Okay.
But I don't go for implementation without discussion. This is very important.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. Ala,
can I add one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
Because I don't work for a manufacturer, I work for a distributor. So in a lot of the cases, I don't just consult the quality assurance or quality control. I actually discuss this with the business teams as well, because this maybe additional requirement will affect the business somehow, the import and so on. And sometimes it even affects the relationship and agreement with the manufacturer, because some manufacturers, for example, I work in Bahrain. So, Bahrain is a really small market. So when you ask the manufacturer to implement something new, they make a big deal out of it, and they make you feel like we're not going to put efforts and resources and a budget into Bahrain market for a regulation that doesn't make sense to us. So I always consult the quality and business, both of them, before I go to the authority, because in my case, I have one chance to push my case and win it with the authority, and I need to just gather all the information from everyone. So I just wanted to add it from a distributor.
You are gaining experience. Build on this experience and will be more successful next time, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you.
Anyone else want to comment or to ask anything?
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Hadil.
How are you, Bayan?
I'm fine, thank you. Happy that you make it finally.
Yes, alhamdulillah. Dr. Hakim, how are you? It's very good time to listen to you and get from your experience, as always.
Thank you, Habibti. Thank you.
I want just for the change question number 4, to give a very realistic example that all the manufacturing company has affected by is the example of Bazartan and its impurities. You know that suddenly not only the local authority, the whole authorities ask us to stop dealing with Bazartan from certain API supplier, and we asked us to start analyze our products and our API to analyze for the impurities to make sure it is that we commit with the limits. So as you have mentioned, we have also first go to the authorities to understand exactly what they need. Then we go back to the QC and ask what will be how much it will be easy for them to go through these requirements and what their main obstacles, and we come back to the authority. Then finally we were able to submit all the needed requirements and the analysis. So I think
sorry to interrupt you, Hadil, but here there is a safety issue. Now the risk here is much higher than a normal, for example, pH analysis or water content analysis. So I agree with the authority. We need to evaluate risk. So here, although we have shortage of valsartan and etc., it have been recalled from all the market, and this is not in here, even FDA and everywhere, Europe and everywhere. So the risk here is high. I can't really have to manage this risk. I can't. So I need to stop it because risk is high. Sorry.
No, I mean, when you give us this question very directly, I remember the issue of valsartan. I feel it is very applicable such a challenge question.
Thank you very much. Applicable. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Great.
Okay, Doctor, I think it's also a WHO approach that authorities have always to decide or to think to balance between the risk and the benefit. Even when we are conducting the expanded, for example, access regulations or medications to be used in the clinical trials, there's always a balance between benefit and risk. And so each authority decide what's the best for their market or their patients in that country, for example.
Sure. The balance is there, always there. And risk versus benefits, this is in all authorities, not just WHO. All authorities go for such, this is the way how they put the regulations, how they approve the products, and how things are going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, Doctor.
No. No, this is the last one. So, but just, I want to make sure that I have finished. Yes.
Okay. Who have any other question? There's many who are raising their hands. So please unmute yourself and feel free to ask or comment. أهلا يا الله يعافيك. Welcome.
Hanan. نعم. Actually, I'm R&D personnel. I'm a formulator.
أهلا وسهلا. أهلا
فيكم. But sometimes we have to submit some variation to the JFTA. What can I do when the JFTA refuse my request while my request is valid based in the SOPAC? That time I asked for an overage in one product. The justification was very clear that the API has a maximum water content of 6%. And the JFTA refused the justification, refused our request. How can we maybe we can cooperate with the regulatory department to have the approval. Now the approval is valid. I mean the request is valid, but the JFTA refused our request. Can we insist? What can we do in such a situation?
I don't want to deal case by case in this situation but I think you need to refer to your reference product. If the reference have the same, I think you can manage it in a way. Check the reference product if it has an overage. If it hasn't, check your method then and go back to your method. So you need to compare. You need to have a strong justification for your hand. Average is not accepted by most of authorities, except for vitamins and some of antibiotics. Otherwise, it will not be accepted. This is the rule all over internationally, globally. So if the problem of the API by itself, because if it has water or whatever, the salt or whatever, then check your reference product, compare your reference product with your the reference product with your product, and then maybe you have a good chance to negotiate with them.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Anyone would like to ask or comment? Okay, I will take a question from the Q&A section. How do you learn the soft skills needed for the regulatory affairs role? So she's asking about the soft skills because it's sometimes very hard to learn them. So what's your advice, Dr. Hakima?
Reading, learning, taking many workshops. Really, I attend many webinars. Once talking about any interpersonal skills, I do attend them. Even now, even sometimes I'm applying and attending them several times. But every time I learn more and more, and I work on myself, because once I find something, there is some, let's say that I need to improve myself here, I work on myself. Do work on yourself. I need to listen more, for example. I need to be more accurate. I review the many times instead of one times. I write down. Sorry. I write down write down for example, the letter twice or thrice, in order to be able to read it in a good way, in order to gain how to write in a proper way. I read, reading. I'm still talking about reading. Don't leave a day without reading. It's really very important to read as much as you can. And you even if it's outside your career, read, and then this you will build up your personality.
Yes, and I have one thing to add. If you're a young professional, for example, what benefited me, for example, is finding a training opportunities. So before I entered the regulatory affairs profession, I was a trainee at Hikma Pharmaceuticals for around 6 months. So I learned a lot in this experience. I met a lot of people, and I learned how to think from different perspectives, because we had visited many related departments, let's say. Try to find good working opportunities. So if you have any chance, go and don't sit at home, go and work at anything. The skills, you will start learning those skills gradually. Even if you are in the general pharmacy profession, then you will know how to enter the regulatory and how to interact with people. And networking is very important. For me, I believe that networking is an amazing tool to learn from people, adapt to new mentality, maybe widening your perspective. It will raise you up to a different level, definitely.
Sure.
Sorry, Bayan, can I add something?
Yes, please.
Hello, Bayan, how are you? Dr. Hakima, thank you for the presentation.
Hello, Fatin, how are you?
Fine. Okay, I just want to add something as well. I think the most important skill is clarity and structure of our replies and dossier, which already was handled during the presentation. Sure. I think it's very important when we read that something makes sense, because if we don't feel that it makes sense, it's confusing. It will do the same for the regulatory authorities, and this will raise more questions and more deficiency. So it's very important to have it well structured, to read it, and it should make sense to us first, then it will make sense to others.
I would add here, always I'm telling my colleagues, wear the hat of the authority, wear the hat of the manufacturer, wear the hat of the regulatory affairs. Always change your hat, and while you're reading the letter or what any documents, put yourself on their shoes as they will always, and read it well. If you feel that it is really common sense, justified, acceptable, then proceed. And support, and the last thing, support any letter with reference document. Don't put your justification or argument without any references. Guidelines, experience, whatever you have, tests, validation, whatever you have, supported with reference. Once you have reference, it will be very powerful. Any more questions?
I'm checking the Q&A section. Okay. Doctor, if you have any advice for anyone who is searching for opportunities to join the regulatory affairs profession in general, any advice?
Accept a challenge, accept advice, and be yourself. And as Bayan mentioned, even try with the training, go there, even for 6 months or whatever, you'll have the chance to build up your experience, and then you have more chances.
Yes.
Start as a trainee, start wherever you can, and don't accept any position. Don't look for anything that is, for example, what do you think that it's suitable for you? Sometimes you don't know where is the place that is suitable for you. Start and go, and then you can change, but accept any challenges and go there and start your work, and you'll find yourself, and you will find a way that in order to improve your position, your career path, whatever way you want to change.
Yes, and luckily we have professional social media like LinkedIn, Indeed. You have to keep searching on these, for example, websites. Use LinkedIn, connect with people, and it will help you navigating you to the country that you would like to proceed with. And we have, Doctor, a question asking about, let's say, a golden rule or advice that would bridge the gap between the business mindset and the regulator's mindset. How we can really close the gap between these two mindsets.
Flexibility.
I think you suffer with this.
Yes. But it is really flexibility is the golden rule, but not going beyond the regulations. Regulation is our limits, but we can be acceptable and to challenge the authorities. I'm always thinking of challenges. That's why even when I was at JFDA, I'm keeping challenging up my even my regulations and update them and improve them, because we need to meet the highest and to have more global type of international guidelines, the guidelines, in order to meet the international ones, and to have more successful atmosphere for all people, manufacturers, drugstores, people, patients, hospitals. This is your aim. Always put it in this way. So flexibility, I think this is the golden rule.
Also, wearing the hats will help you close the gap. This gap. Wearing the hats will help you how to enter any situation or a conversation and try to communicate the key points, let's say, leading to let's say a mutual ground even between you and the authority, the business people. So you will help them achieve their goal, but in your way as a regulatory professional dealing with the authorities. So this is the, let's say, the secret behind it. And with experience, for sure, it will be very clear. Okay, Doctor, we have a question from Inas. Inas, welcome. She's asking about how to get the RAC certificate. If you recommend any references, and what's the benefits from getting the certificate?
It's it's a really for me it's very good certificate. I have been introduced to all global guidelines, FDA, Europe, MENA, Southeast, Far East countries, all of them, in putting in two big books that you need to read and understand them. I was happy to pass such an exam and have such certificate. Really, it's challenging. You need to have an experience in that countries because they are really focusing on FDA and Europe. I didn't work there, but I have an experience through my long experience and working with them and through attending workshops. Really, I was for 2 years attending all FDA workshops that have been done there while I was there in Canada. So this makes things happen and easy for me because of time differences. Attending this workshop will give you very clue and more understanding of their guidelines. It's useful, beneficial. You are within the regulatory affairs professional. They have a website, an interactive one. You can get there, you can understand, you can ask questions, and you can make benefits of many things. There are regular conferences, or webinars, workshops. So it's useful, I think. It gives you it open your eyes for many regulations and understanding how the FDA think about and how they really issue their guidelines and how they got the steps into issuing these guidelines. And even if they got today, for example, a new guidelines in HADA, there will be a workshop for all customers, for all stakeholders to understand and to get interactive feedback from them about any guidelines. So it's really useful and beautiful to understand how things are, how people think outside and how they are really putting such kind of guidelines. And you learn a lot about everything, and you can search for the guideline that you need if you have any challenge with your local regulations.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you. And they have on their website, the reps, they have online certification.
Yeah, and now this is a master degree. Yes, you can do it. Yeah.
Online.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, if there is no other question, we would like to conclude our webinar for tonight. Thank you, Dr. Hakima, for the valuable presentation and advices. We hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we would like to see you in upcoming ones. 4 had raised their hands suddenly. Anyone can quickly unmute himself and talk. Hello.
This is Farida Aliyan.
Welcome.
How are you, Hakima?
Ahlan, Farida. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Hakima, I'm keeping. I'm receiving this question regularly. For people wants to do to join regulatory affairs, to do career shift. And they don't have any experience with regulatory affairs. Do you recommend this certificate for people with no experience in regulatory affairs?
No. It's not. It says challenging. It's difficult. You need to have experience. Yeah.
Do you recommend?
Even their requirement to have 5 years experience before you can submit for this exam. It's really hard.
So do you recommend any certification for people wants to join regulatory affairs?
There is a master degree now, in some universities in USA. I don't know if there is in our region a master degree. And
But do you recommend it without experience?
No, it will be very difficult to understand regulation. You know, I'm thinking that you should be a lawyer and a pharmacist in order to understand the regulation. You need to understand the meaning of each word. It's not easy to have it. You need an experience to go through that. No, I will not recommend it, because failure in such exams, really, it's very bad. Get ready, be prepared, and then go. Yeah.
Thank you, Hakima.
Thank you. Ahlan, Frida.
Okay, I think we can conclude now. Thank you all for participating, and thank you, Dr. Hakima, for the wonderful presentation. Good night, and we wish to see you in our upcoming webinars. Keep an eye on our social media and follow our listserv. Have a nice night and good night. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Muna, Dr. Muna. Thank you, Bayan, and all the organizers. Thank you,
Thank you,
for
Dr.
the audience,
everyone.
for being patient, to listen to me. Thank you very much.
حبيبتي من دواعي سرورنا. شكرا دكتورة. باي.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.